Okay, I'm back. And now, let's get there. I wonder why this is still continuing. I don't know, but anyways. The snap of my mobile phone's closing contrasts with the ambient clatter and noise audible even in the hallway outside the library. It's the first day of the summer holidays. The time had perpetually seemed so far off away, yet it's now not only here, but also made me painfully obvious by the students or lack thereof left in school. Most students have returned home to spend the holidays with relatives by now. The few that are left are mostly chatting between themselves, usually about what they intend to do in the coming weeks. It makes me feel like the odd one's out. While taking advantage of the school library being open for the first several days of the holiday. Ostensibly, it's for the students to drop off any books they borrowed and have yet to return, and for those who have their parents pick them up, to help pass the time until they get whisked away. Thanks to the recent lengthy phone call from my parents, which have so rudely woken me from my sleep on a beanbag at the back of the library, I'm now in the latter category, sliding my phone back into my pocket, this time remembering to set it into silent. I go back into the quiet room, wholly placid room. It's a nostalgic sight, just as when Lilly first led me to the library. The orange tint of the sunset bathed the room in its light while Hanako is sitting on the beanbag, silently reading, and Yuko fusses, just barely visible, behind the counter. Hanako especially has been notified more quiet than usual since yesterday's happenings, but I can't really blame her. Oops. It was just me that depended on that person after all. It wasn't just me that depended on that person after all. I quickly walked back to the beanbag near her where I sat before, being doubly careful not to make any unnecessary noise. The soft puff it gives as the bag takes my weight makes Hanako's eyes flick towards me, but only for a second. I get the feeling that Hanako's been quiet over partly out of sadness following Lily's departure. Rather, she seems more thoughtful and measured than I expected. Perhaps due to her desire of working out how to deal with Lily's leaving rather than just being depressed over it. It makes me a little proud of her. Hey, Hanako?
Yeah?
Still going ahead with your idea of traveling? She gives a determined nod.
I'll be starting in a day or two. Naomi's decided to come with me, too.
Wow, quick start. Where'd you two head to first?
I think we're going to start by going north, then loop downward and go southward.
So, Kaido's going to be first. She gives another nod, more tentative than the last. The signature of that place is not lost on either of us. Do you know how you're going to handle the traveling expenses and accommodations?
Yeah, I worked everything out. I think it should be okay. Naomi said she has her side worked out too.
You know that if you need anything, you can just call, right? I gave you my number before. Any time of the day is fine. She gives a smile, which in itself feels like a small personal victory.
I know. Thanks, Hisa.
Maybe Lily was right. Although I may offer Hanako any help I can possibly give, I feel as if she knows she doesn't need it. She really has grown. Hanako's plans for her holidays are in sharp contrast to mine. My simple following of my parents' suggestions to stay with them. Holidays had always made me feel less excited than most. So maybe this is just a return to the status quo. Before my heart attack, I always lived so aimlessly that holidays weren't always all that much different from my everyday life anyways. After school, I wandered around a bit in the city, often hanging out with some friends before making my way home to eat dinner with usually one of my parents, but rarely both. Their work schedule didn't leave much time for them to be home, and going there straight from school would just have meant I'd end up feeling bored. I was an urbanite through and through. Since coming to Yanmaku, though, it feels like I'd fundamentally changed as a person. The phone call with my parents erased any trace of doubt I might have held on that. In any case, while before I have exercised a fairly normal level of independence for a teenager, that being not a whole lot, my parents were more than pleased to hear of my newfound ability in taking care of myself. Laundry, cooking for myself, cleaning, all in addition to other general chores that come from living without parents around. Just little menial things I've had to pick up, but with relative ease. When I think about it, I always depended on them, even if they hadn't been at home all the time. To say I've never depended on anyone after moving beyond Mako dormitories would be far from the truth, though.
Oh no, excuse me.
The two of us look at the awkwardly fidgeting figure in front of us. Some things never change.
It's getting close to closing time, so
Oh right, I'd forgotten that the library closes earlier during the holidays. Hanako and I both get up and dust ourselves off, placing our books back onto a shelf behind us. The fact that our taste in reading material have a fair amount of overlap is useful at times. With a bow to Yuko to apologize for taking so much time, Hanako takes her leave of us.
See you tomorrow, Hisao.
Bye. And with that, she walks out of the large wooden aging doors that herald the entrance to the library.
She's a quiet person, isn't she?
I suppose I should be surprised at a staff member sharing personal opinions like this. But after knowing Yuko for a while, it's largely expected. Our relationship is more personal rather than one with her acting as an auditory figure. Yeah, I think that's just how she is. She's got a lot more confidence in herself these days, though.
I don't know her as well as you do, but I think I agree. It's nice seeing her talk to people here. She never used to do that before.
Hey, Yuko, you know about Lilly's leaving, right?
She told me herself a few days ago. It must be hard leaving everyone behind like she is.
She quickly looks back to me after she says this, probably remembering that I went to her for advice on the relationship between Lilly and I before.
Are you going to be okay?
That's a difficult question. It's something I'd rather not think about for now, though, given more pressing issues. Something seems kind of off about this whole deal, don't you think? Yuko appears to think for a while, absent-mindedly scrunching her face up in a variety of creative ways as she does.
I don't think I really know her well enough to make that kind of judgment. I'm sorry, I can't be more help.
Nah, that's fine. I'm just sort of thinking aloud. I give a deep sigh and scratch my head in frustration. There's just so much stuff happening at once that I have no control over. It feels like I'm being swamped.
I think everyone goes through the times like that. What's important is to concentrate on what you can do rather than what you can't do. At least, that's how I see it. If I didn't think like that, I don't think I'd be able to manage my life as it is.
She says it with a smile and a light tone, but her words are far from any kind of joke, being pulled between two jobs as she is, just to hopefully make enough money, not only to live, but also for the university. Must be exhausting. Perhaps that's why, coming for her, this feels like it has more meaning than it has come to from most others. I guess you got a point there. Thank you for advice, once again, Yuko. She bows deeply and smiles again before making her way back to the counter where she spends so much of her time. The tiny wings of the cardboard crane are my fingers and only just visible in the dim light of my room. Just a little the moonlight being able to peek through the curtains and around the edges. I lie still in my dark bed for a long time, idly looking at the little origami bird. It feels like a lot happened since Lilly folded this, but at the same time it feels like very little has changed. Compared to everyone else, I'm back to square one. I might have a newfound idea of where I want to go in life, but that's hardly something that affects me now. Hanako changed, I know that much. If anything, she just makes me feel like I've got no excuse to be like this, considering her previous situation. Lilly, though. I turned the bud in my fingers another way, looking at it from yet another angle. When I first met her, she seemed aloof. She seemed aloof and perhaps somewhat distant. Her actions were always careful, measured, and precise, and her carefully maintained composure always gave the appearance of unerring confidence and serenity. In time, she became less formal. Just a bit, but enough. It felt good to see her lowering her inhibitions around me and open up, even if just a little, of her own accord. It feels like as if I was seeing her real self slowly, becoming more vibrant and visible. Now, though, I'm beginning to have doubts. Perhaps they're It is to be expected after what it is. Effectively, two of us breaking up. That doesn't feel new or strange though, but rather like an old book being found and dusted off. I soon realized after meeting Lilly that she saw me, as she did Hanako, and someone who needed help and care. First I simply thought that we'd be fine as friends, helping each other through our limits, limited time together in school. Then I began to treasure our moments together, more and more, for our quiet walks to our talks. Talking over lunch, the good sides of her personality became even more obvious and ever more likable. The absence caused by Lily's trip to Scotland to visit her long-distance family in Scotland only makes me realize how much I liked just being around her, and I had thoughts that she felt a similar way. For her, though, maybe that wasn't everything to our relationship. Even after she returned to Japan, that just meant she lost her family once again after meeting them for such a brief time. She lived so much of her life without her family around, not to mention with Akira's working long hours, that she had little choice but to be like that. I've thought of her sense of dependence to be a good and admirable trait. It was in the stark difference my reliance on my parents before my heart attack, as reluctant as I may have been to admit it. However, it also meant that she never let people get too close to her. She lost her family, likely due to her blindness, went to a different school from anybody she knew because of it, and worked all the harder to make sure she didn't end up a burden on one of her sisters and those around her. Now Akira's going to Inverness, just like the family she thought she lost. She never told me of her plans, as conflicted as she was about them. Lily didn't want to be burdened on anyone, including me. I'm an idiot. Wait, I'm an idiot? I never questioned it. I never tried to be there or asked when she needed me to. I just set my life up and expected to stay that way forever, with the two of us having a nice long relationship where we pushed forward towards our future together. A small price of frustration and anger at myself wells boxed up in my chest. I just let everything happen. Never even tried to help Lily. Just her being there was enough. I thought I could keep going on if that was true, but that could have never been enough. It was a childlike dependence on someone without any attempt to understand or help the situation. Thanks to that, I've lost Lily. Lost the only person I loved most because I wasn't there for her when she needed me. With an increasing angry feeling washing over me, I turn over and set the crane back on the desk, next to my clock, the place where it has since the day she folded it for me. Since that day, when she herself said that my burdens need be my own. The obnoxious bright red numerals on my alarm clock shine through the darkness of the room onto my tired eyes. 10 o'clock, evening. Curfew will be soon. I wonder. Akira mentioned they'd be leaving this evening. I've no idea exactly what their flight is, but that means there's a chance, however small, that they might not have already left. Adrenaline starts to move through my body as I sit up on my bed, my eyes suddenly wide with possibility. There's no guarantee they haven't left. Indeed, it's like they've already have, but they also got a chance they haven't. However small it may be, just this once, just as I should have before. I stand up and rush over to my cabinet, throwing out some clothes as I can and sliding them onto quick succession. Each second that goes by is a second that I can't regain. A second that I can't regain. A second that means the difference between catching them and losing them forever. Even if I fail, I have to try. I can't let her leave everything behind without even trying to stop her. Without just this once being there for her. With the last of my clothes slipped on, I hastily grabbed the phone off the desk. Luckily, the number for a local taxi company is still in my call history. A gruff, unenthusiastic voice announces the name of the company while I pace around the room. It takes some effort to slow down my voice and keep it clear over the phone. The chilly night air sweeps against me as I open the dormitory doors, but nevertheless I keep up my brisk speed as I half jog, half run out in the school gates. It may not be curfew just yet, but it's precariously close. If there were a guard around, they'd no doubt have some questions of me, but it looks like I've managed to come out just before they arrive, or they're around the corner. My pace picks up as I make my way through the school gardens, their nighttime allure all but lost when I begin to run to the school gates. The lamps of the courtyard, dimmed as they are, provide just enough illumination to light the way and prevent me from tripping over. The buildings themselves take on a rustic, almost antique look edge when I glance at them. Looking back, it seems strange that they once appeared so dark and looming to me. Now they're just looking to see me somewhat anachronistic school buildings. Yeah, somewhat, yeah. The same as other bars their age. Leaving the gates behind me, I pull up to a stop just before the taxi, parked just as Akira's car has been. Its gaudy and bright lit sign looks out of the place in the quiet courtyard backdrop. I impatiently squeeze myself through the door, giving the driver the address for where the two should hopefully be staying. By the time the taxi pulls up, after its trip at the maddening casual speed, it's well and truly deep in the night. The house is truly enormous. Its sheer size much larger than expected, an ominous feeling. Feeling the worst, I ask the driver to stay in case my efforts are for naught. A single press on the fancy intercom system outside the gate produces a small electronic melody in the otherwise silent road. It's not long before a somewhat deep, gruff voice can be heard from it. This is the Hakamichi residence. Please state your business and why you're bothering us this late. I press on despite inwardly, wincing at the reasonable annoyance audible in his voice. It's Isao Nakai. I was hoping to meet Lilly or Akira, if they're still here. Surprisingly, I managed to summon quite some energy in my voice, enough to make the other side of the intercom silent. A few seconds pass, but just before I press the button again and ask what's going on, a light turns on the outside of the front door. I strain my eyes to try and make out who is coming through, but as he comes past a large parked car with fish rods sticking on the back, his identity becomes clear. His face is typically placid and emotionless as he saunters up to the gate. He still is childlike in his mannerism, despite his demeanor. With the press of a few buttons from behind the fence, the gate slowly opens.
Isao, what are you doing here?
I think this is the most emotion I've ever heard from his voice. Not that it would be hard to reach that mark. Akira told me that she and Lilly would be staying here before they left for the flight. I need to talk to Lilly just one last time. Are they still here? The look on his face says everything. I failed. I was too late. The one time when I actually needed to act quickly and...
Actually, it's possible.
What is it? He's a bit taken aback by my fervor, but I can't help but at this point.
They left not too long ago. Only a few minutes before you arrived. In fact, if you go straight to the airport, you might be able to. Isao?
I darted back towards the waiting taxi, grabbing what little money is left in my pocket as I go. Thanks, Hideki. With that, I take a seat and in short order bark out my destination. My chest beats wildly as I tear down the streets, my body twisting this way and that to slip between the pedestrians walking back and forth beside me. With the road solidly blocked by taxis and other cars, dropped off passengers and picking up others in the time they have to wait, we ended up having to stop almost a block away. But that's in the past now. What matters is reaching Lilly. One foot hits the ground, the other foot quickly falls, but slides out, as if my legs have taken on a life of their own, and all my mind can do is concentrate on the view ahead of me. Just one glimpse of that long hair, that long yellow hair that was the same color as the weight that stretches as far as the eyes could see. In the end, I depended on her, just like Hanako did. Even after we started going out, it still doesn't feel like she really let herself depend on me, except for this one moment. That one moment when we held each other tightly on that bright yellow field. At that time, she must have feared losing me as she did everything else. That's why just this once, the night air wraps around me, draining every last remnant of warmth out of my body to the extent that it feels more like midwinter than a summer night. My fingers and my hands and my feet are all feeling increasingly cold. The sound of the passing crowds is reduced to no more than the background hum. The sound of my shoes hitting the pavement echoes loudly, every step surging towards the person I have to catch up. With thoughts by my chest, tightening in response to the cold night. I rest an arm over to try and settle it down. When the airport comes into view, though, I realize this feeling as once I felt before. Not now. Of all times, please, not now! I take a gulp and soldier on, regardless, pushing my body as far as it will go. Sweat pours off me as I hurl forward. My shoulders hitting someone's side, and my mind suddenly flooding with emotions and memories. I continue on without an apology. I have to keep moving now. If I stop, I'm not sure if I could begin again. And even if I could, it would be all for naught, if not in time. I hit another person, and another, offering little resistance, get bounced around. My feet feel numb. My arms are losing all feeling. My chest forces me to hunch over awkwardly, tightening even more. That afternoon in the snow, the time when my life irreversibly changed, images of Yuko and the damn letter flash over and over in my mind. The first love I lost thanks to my condition. I can't let that happen again. I don't care what happens to me anymore. I just need to see her one last time. Gucci desu! A sliver of yellow and white comes in view in some distance of the road, her figure silhouetted by the lights and Nancy waiting for the airport entrance. Lilly! 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 YAMETE-NASSAI! Lilly! Come on, Lilly, I know you're hearing far beyond. My view suddenly spins out of control and end up on the ground. My body haphazardly sprawls after hitting someone and stumbling over. Before I can assess the damage, unbelievable pain ignites in my body. All my thoughts are blanked as I curl up and frantically clutch at my chest. Hey, are you okay? That was really a bad fall. This pain, I can't. Any sharp knock could knock me down. Any overexertion. I thought I could overcome my limits this once. Something's wrong with him. What's the matter? Oh wait. Yeah, there we go. Whoops. The voices of those gathering around me gradually replaced by loud ringing in my ears. But now I'm unable to move my head. My eyes turn upward and see the mute moving of their lips. Even as I clutch my chest, I realize I can't feel my fingers anymore, nor my feet. It feels like my entire body is shutting down, starting from my extremities. With one last effort, I turn my head down the road towards the airport entrance, the casting of its light over me. Lilly is there, behind the crowds. Her head is tilted, only just slightly. I can feel my vision dimming as I slowly try to yell out. Nothing emerges from my mouth. It's one of my efforts. Slowly but surely, my vision begins to black out, the scene before me. So, this is how it ends. Damn, I failed. I was so close, so very close. But at the last moment of my condition seized my chance at a new life, dragged me back. Now I'm going to die, sprawled out just meters from an airport, with a crowd of babbling people surrounding me and with Lilly leaving for Scotland. Just a little distance ahead. Lilly. Alas, the words extinguish the last of my energy. The world falls into a deep and inescapable blackness as every muscle of my body shuts down. YAMETE-NASSAI. Lilly, I was too late. Oh, God. God damn it. What's going on? As I slowly opened my eyes, a bright white light assaults my retinas. For moments I just lay there, my man, mindlessly staring ahead while my scattered thoughts coalescence in my slowly waking mind. Slowly but surely the white begins to come into focus as a bare expanses begin to be drawn across my field of vision. It's only when the light fixtures come into view that my mind clicks that this is the ceiling above me. Slowly levering myself up, I silently absorb through all my senses the details of the room I'm in. The smell and taste of strong bleach hangs in the air, lending the impression of a place just slightly too clean to be natural. An offensive, pale, peach-colored walls, all perfectly painted without a crack, stain or imperfection. A single frame painting hangs on the wall, perfectly straightened, like the wall. It's as boring and inoffensive as can be. My attention grabs by the translucent curtain waving across my vision, my eyes following it to the opening window it covers. When I move my right I try to lift myself and look through it. It feels decay. Catherine digs and uncomfortably. It's only now, too, that I notice the cannula tubes winding around my cheeks and into my nose. Some fidgeting I saw just looking around the corner of the window. Beyond the thick leaves of several large trees, I can see the greenery below, backing out onto a field. Customary island of green on the outskirts of the city. Judging by the sun's outside, it's noon. Of which day, though, I'm not sure. So, I'm in a hospital once again. I let out a long, tired breath as I try to collect my scattered thoughts. My mind seemingly cast into a dozen directions all at once, with as many emotions running through me. After slowly laying back down, I decide to start at the beginning why I'm here. I cast my mind back, but I can't work out a smooth recollection of what happened. The events of last night, whichever last night it was, comes back more as a series of snapshots than any cohesive memory. Lying in my bed, looking at the origami bird, talking to Hideki outside the Hakamichi residence, running down the streets, passing pedestrians and bumping into more than them, falling, looking up at the searing bright airport entrance, seeing Lilly's back as I lay onto the ground. ... The silence of the private room suddenly feels overwhelming. So, that's it, huh? I had my chance to correct my mistake and I blew it. Whether I was at fault for neglecting my medications and regarding to pace myself, or my body was for giving out so soon, it doesn't matter now. What matters is that, once again, I'm alone. The pastel blue pillow yields with little resistance as I let myself fall back on the bed. The starchy case, along with the starchy sheet, provide little comfort. Compared to the darkness of last night's events, the bright light of the room around me is striking. All it does, though, is emphasize how otherworldly places like this are. Arrhythmia. Damn it. A strange word. A foreign alien one. One that you don't want to be in the same room with. Rare condition. Causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. It was a miracle that you were able to go on so long without anything happening, they said. And then it did! My condition has taken away to everything. My old school was no importance of anymore. My home was reduced to a faraway place. Both my friends and my first love simply stopped visiting after a length of time. I became cynical and embittered. Distant and subdued. My defense, no person could avoid that after such a thing happened to them. But nonetheless, I left the hospital as a very definitely changed person. Things changed. I made new friends in Hanako, Shizune, and Misha. I found a new scene of home in my dormitory, a new interest in science and the world around me, and I found a direction in my life that I've never felt before. But I also discovered other things. A scene of isolation in Yanmaku and its surrounds was not entirely unwelcome. The quiet gave a peace of mind I might not have found elsewhere, but it gave the area a feeling of being pushed out of the way, being kept out of sight. People in the streets would sometimes glance awkwardly or quickly turn their heads as they realized they were staring. Even if my condition wasn't visible, my uniform was. Even if it weren't, I was still different. I took 17 pills a day. Morning, midday, and night. My scars, though hidden behind clothing, was still a permanent mark of my condition. Most of all, they were the very real possibility of death. A bad fall. An absentmindedly hard hit on the back. A simple sprint, taken too far. Anything could have set my heart off. Several times I teetered on the edge of the abyss, even with all that, the care I took of myself. That was fine. I could have lived with all that. Because there was one final thing I found or rather refound, after entering Yanmaku, which was once again snatched away before my eyes. It's only now that I realized just how delicate my newfound sense of happiness was. Everything depended on her, the linchpin of my life since I first entered Yanmaku as a sullen, confused, and aimless transfer student. Lilly Sato was the only person I could depend on above all others, and who reincorporated the love that I felt for her. But I failed and only realized it all too late. I thought that I could just set my life up and continue that way forever, but the real world doesn't work like that. I finally realized the meaning of those words, only to be struck down as I confronted my failure to do so in time. ... Surrounding I'm in now are all too familiar. It's as if Yanmako was but a dream, and I'm still recovering from my first major heart attack. Maybe that's why I feel so tired. I feel almost as if I lived the entire last few months of my life in the space of minutes. God damn. The weight of my eyelids closed my eyes, my physical and mental exhaustion letting me offer no resistance. Time passes. An unintelligible mumbling from the head of the bed stirs out me out of my sleep. With my eyes still closed, I can focus and make out someone, presuming a nurse, bidding farewell to a doctor. As I open my eyes, I notice the door closing in my peripheral vision. The doctor stands reading some notes at the clipboard held in his hand, carefully looking over the pages. After consulting his obvious, very important documents, he looks up and notices my gaze. It's now that I notice something slightly odd about his expression, genial disposition, but I can't quite possibly put my finger on it. I see you're awake, Mr. Nakai. His quick glance to my bed ends to verify my name, shows that his documents obviously didn't have it written down. I must admit that this is unfortunate. Your parents visited just earlier when you were asleep. I could notify them if you're awake now, if you like. Thanks, that would be good. I give a somewhat dazed reply, most likely the one he is expecting for really thinking about what I'm saying. That's a problem. If you like any questions you'd like to ask, I'll be happy to answer them. That is, unless you prefer to rest. The anesthetic's still going to be affecting you, I'm afraid. The anesthetics? Of course! That'd be why I feel so strange the first time I woke up. I slowly shake my head, not wanting to dislodge any pipes or cause myself any more discomfort than necessary. The doctor politely puts his clipboard down in response. Guess my main question is, what exactly happened?
Put simply, you've unfortunately had another heart attack. While not as severe as at first, you were lucky it occurred so close to a hospital. After being stabilized, you were taken to the operating room. Before was keyhole surgery in order to insert a temporary pacemaker. All in all, the incident happened 2 days ago, with emergency treatment being carried out very shortly afterwards. So then, we've kept you under close observation while you're asleep.
Will I be alright? Are there any lasting problems?
Compared to the procedure carried out for your heart attack, this was relatively minor. While you were having to undergo surgery once more in a few days' time to remove the pacemaker, assuming there are no complications, there should be no lasting implications.
He continued talking, the subject shifting to a repetition of facts about arrhythmia, medication, I started nodding faint interest in my interest. I began to think about how perfectly hung the inoffensive painting hanging on the wall between his shoulders, how neat and sterile the surroundings are, even including the doctor himself.
You're quite welcome to share some of this, Kai. Lord knows I lost track of myself sometimes.
He goes to a chuckle with feeling depreciation joke as I grimacingly awkward. I've been rather badly caught out. The doctor's chuckle sounds different from the fact that the nurse at Yanmako, though, come to think of it. As I pondered why, I realize the man in front of me feels just that little bit off. His smile is neat and sterile. He gives his little joke perfectly with a customary inoffensive chuckle. It is like rather than talking to the man whose name is neatly printed on the name tag, pinned to his lab coat, I'm merely interacting with an actor, reading off a pre-rehearsed script, every action having been choreographed beforehand. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue. I suppose he has to be this way, though, being a doctor. He has to keep his neat and sterile smile while chatting the girl with cancer slowly spreading throughout her body, whilst reassuring the woman who will surely die from childbirth and with every other terminally and critically ill patient. That little bit of distance, that little bit of aloofness, makes me wonder if I've been too harsh, especially considering it's a disposition far from being adopted only by people in his profession. After all, the one I loved kept that same distance from others herself. Looking up to the doctor again, I realize I've been in thought with my head bowed for some time.
I understand you must be so tired. You've been through a lot, as I mentioned before. The anesthetics will still be affecting you. If you don't mind, I'll let you get some rest until your parents are woken up from you.
I guess that'll be fine. Thanks. He gives a curt nod before picking up his clipboard and making his way to the large white door in the corner of the room, closing it behind him with a thud. In the end, I'm alone again. Lily's gone. Kira's gone. Hanako will be traveling, and my parents have already left the hospital. 4 pale peach walls, one white ceiling, and a single open window to look out towards the world outside. It's hard to think of the future when the past is crowded around you, claustrophobic in its neat, sterile, starchy, bleach-smelling drip. Lost for what to do or focus on, I content myself with sleeping the time away as if they were all just another dream like Yanmagu had been. White. A sterile, clean white for a sterile, clean room. My eye is open, and I simply stare at the ceiling for some time. It's about as interesting as a television would be. Mounted in its metal rack, hanging off the ceiling ahead of the bed. Indeed, the television saw its entire use during the time my parents were here, let down quietly as they were for me to wake. It was about as banal as it had been the first time I ended up in the hospital. Earlier today, an attending nurse had offered to turn off the EKG speakers. I refused simply because the sound is still entirely normal to me now. It's almost comfortable. In a way, metronome regularly gives at least some feeling that time is moving, even in a place such as this. After some time of listening to its beeping while I fully awakened, I realized there's another sound in the room. Concentrating all my efforts on listening, a task made rather easily by the lack of distractions. Tiny, tinkling medley can be heard. Light and quiet, the music sounds almost fragile, as if dwarfed by the EKG's pulse. Tilting my head just about slightly to the side in an effort to see the source of the melody, without dislodging any of the sensors and pipes struck onto me, I noticed a little wooden box sitting on the nightstand next to the bed. My mouth opens just slightly, while I silently watch the tiny yellow metal drum slowly rotate inside. Little bumps, surface gradually moving in and out of sight. This music box. It's the one I gave. The creaking of the door breaks me out of my reverie. My head and heart remain still as my eyes turn to see who comes through. Long, tan skirt, peach off the shoulder sweater, pale, almost porcelain skin, blue clouded eyes, and long yellow hair. All I can do is stare at Lilly, slowly walking into the room, her fingers running lightly over the wall for orientation, and my mind comes to a shuddering halt. Hang on. Sorry, it keeps lagging right here, so I have to keep doing that because low memory. But anyways, let's go. Lilly? She stops, mid-stride, her entire body tensing.
Hisao, was that you?
Her voice is quiet and pensive, echoing her expression. I thought you were... Lily takes one tentative step forward, as if she was holding herself back. Her control over her composure is for naught, though, and she finally rushes over to where I lay as the last of her resistance falls. I'm still slightly taken aback when she grabs a hold of me, hunching over as tears begin to fall from her cheek. It's only minutes ago I thought she was on the other side of the world. After a moment of hesitation, I rest my right hand on her soft shoulder.
Hisao!
Lily's body trembles as her tears blot dark blue sheets. Her emotions flooding through her carefully maintained exterior. With her face now closer and made easier to see for her pale skin being lit by the sunlight from the window, I notice her cheeks being redder than they should be. It's okay, Lily. Okay, you don't need to. She rights herself quickly, her crying forcefully stifled with both sadness and stubbornness remaining in her moistened eyes. Her prideful nature, always have been something to contend with, takes me off guard.
Stop telling me not to worry about you, Hisao. Just this once, let me cry.
I'm caught speechless. She waits for a response, but her composure breaks again after a handful of seconds. I swallow hard to try and settle my own emotions, while she weeps out onto my bed, a strange mix of relief and depression, welling enough. Lilly's here. She's really here. I couldn't feel her skin under my hand. Hardly believe my own eyes. My efforts weren't for nothing. Body's attempts to take away everything that was important to me once again has been foiled. Now, I don't feel as happy about it as I thought I would. Seeing her here, crying like this over me, is the one thing I've wanted to avoid since coming to love her. No, even since leaving the hospital. I'm sorry, Lilly. It's my fault. I'm here. I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. I give a self-depreciation snort. After months of keeping myself together so nobody worried on me, I went and did something like this. Guess I'm pretty dumb. With a couple of sniffs and a long breath, Lilly managed to pull herself together and calm down a little. Despite her red cheeks, moist eyes, and the lines of her tears still visible, she delicately wears that weak smile she seems to so often give.
You needn't blame yourself. I've heard later that it happened as you were running down the road after me, right?
Still, she wipes her eyes with the back of her hands, returning more to her old self as the rush of emotions wears off.
Why did you run after me, Hisao?
I moved to respond, but noticed her face tightening.
Even after I said goodbye and I left Yanmaku Academy.
She takes a moment to steady herself, her emotions almost bubbling up once again. I just want to say that I'm sorry.
Sorry?
For the times when I wasn't there when you needed me. Until now, I thought you just being there would be enough. I only need you by my side to make any day feel better. Even if my body may be like this, I want to help you, Lilly, to be there when you need someone.
But you always were there, Hisao.
Why did you want to go to Scotland, Lilly?
Why? I told you before. Because Akira was going and because my family summons to their home.
Why didn't you say that you wanted to go? I'm not stubborn often, but this one time, I think I need to be. I want you to stay here, Lilly. I want you to stay where everyone you know lives, and where all your dreams and ambitions were made. If you choose to stay, I'll never leave your side. I won't let you lose another person. When I had my heart attack, I was snatched away from everyone and everywhere I knew. You showed me a new life after I came to Yanmaku. I had lost my past, but you showed me a future. It's true that I haven't always been there for you. I'm unreliable sometimes. I lied. Sometimes I lied. I thought I'd come to understand you when I hadn't even understood myself. Be that it may, I want to give you a future as well. I want to be there for you, to share both your burdens and your happiness, just like I promised back in Hokkaido. I want you to trust me. I know I had problems coming to put my trust in you after losing so many people. I know after my heart attack, but that's how I know that being unable to trust others can feel awful. That's why I can't watch you just throw everything away like this. I never want you to go through what I did. I would do anything to stop that.
You can be quite steadfast when you want to be, can you?
As I said, it isn't often. My weak smile drops, though, as the IV in my arms dig in a little. It's a harsh reminder of my tether to my condition. Lily's face tenses as I let out a small gasp of pain, immediately making me wish I'd stifled it better. All I can do is sigh in relief. I try not to let anyone worry over me for the entire time since I left the hospital, but I can't even stop the one person I love most from crying over me. Even if I might finally be able to put my feelings into words, I feel pretty useless without a body like this. Every time I try to reach towards something, it was just snatched away, and even now things only turned out for the better, due to luck. I guess that's something else I should apologize for. All I can never do to make you worry is make you worry. Even now that there's very little chance I'll live anywhere near a full life. The feeling of Lily's warm, soft hand moving over my left cheek makes me lift my head up. Her smile gentle and warm as she touches me.
I think that is something very natural for you to say. You're always so sincere and self-conscious. You are also reserved and mild-mannered, and patient to a fault with Hanako, yet curious about everything and everyone. When I said I missed you while I was with my family, I wasn't lying or exaggerating. The thought of you would never far from my mind and helped me through that time. That's why I was so confused about what to do when my family summoned me. Even after I thought I had made my decision, you tried your hardest to challenge me about it. I didn't confess to you out of pity or believing you would somehow differ from what you are. I confessed because I never wanted to lose you, and want you to always be a part of my life, no matter what might change. You're a very beautiful person, Hisao. Your heart changes none of that, so please don't apologize for yourself anymore.
For a long time, silence reigns in the room. I'm not really sure what this newly born feeling inside me is, but it pales into insignificance as I wordlessly gaze at Lily's smiling face, warm and gentle as it has always been. It's only as her thumb crosses my cheek, wiping away a single drop of moisture, that I realize this is all I ever wanted. For what it feels like the first time, I give an earnest wide smile. As Lily feels it against her palm, she returns the gesture. More time passes before either of us say a word, neither of us needing speech to communicate our feelings to each other. I know I can't promise you that I'll always be around or that we'll be together forever. With some difficulty, I slowly lift my hand, placing it on her pale shoulder. But I think I can at least take you to next year's Tanabata Festival to make up for making you miss this year. Lily's expression is one of surprise, though I can't say to blame her.
You remember that?
I've got a pretty good memory. Well, sometimes. She raises her head a little and takes her hand from my cheek, giving a small amused giggle. I smile absent-mindedly at how earnest it is, almost girlish in its lightness. Still smiling warmly, she collects herself and stands upright with a hand resting on my chest. Feels like I'm seeing her from the first time. The sun from the windows glowing behind her, just as it did when I first walked into the room where she was drinking tea.
Very well, then. Shall we make a promise between the both of us to go to next year's Tanabata Festival together?
Even though she can't see me doing so, I nod approvingly. Yakusoda da yo. And now...
Yakusoda da yo.
Hang on. Is this still lagging? Oh, come on. Okay, be right back. Okay, good. It's not lagging anymore. Anyways, let's go. What's happening?
Higata.
That is the end of Katawa Shoujo. Although there is an after credits, but yeah, that's pretty much the end. This was a pretty exciting journey, despite that, But anyways, it made me cry when I first played it. Yeah, it actually made me cry. And, this person, I don't know. I really like this route. I don't know. This game is pretty impressive. It has some, I don't know. Maybe I should just tell that in the concept arts, but yeah. I enjoyed this route. Oh my gosh. I'm just lost at words. Full Leaf Studios, huh? Akira, Lilly, and I silently stood on the grassy embankment, high above the local town, the breeze gently blowing through the cloudless sky. We may just be a few minutes' walk from town, or on a hill just outside its limits, but the view is entirely unexpected. Lilly sits beside me, her eyes closed as a gentle breeze flows through her hair.
This is a nice area.
Yeah, I never knew a place like this was anywhere near Yanmaku.
And I had be the one to find it, of course.
Akira's grin is genuine, but her tone is slightly different from her usual carefree nature.
It's good to have you out of the hospital, though, Hisao.
Nobody's more glad than I am, and I can't stay in hospitals.
So, you two going back to school tomorrow?
Yep. Akira chuckles in amusement before looking back out in the town below, the trees between the buildings swaying in the wind. Pity we couldn't go up north for the summer holidays and get to Tanabata.
I wouldn't worry. There's always next time.
You'll be graduating before the next summer's vacation, won't ya? Yeah, there'll still be college after that. Mind? Going the same one?
Likely. We'll both have high enough scores to meet the entry requirements.
Sounds so sure.
Don't worry. You're better than I in most subjects.
I guess we'll work that out in due time.
That's the way. Just enjoy yourselves in Yanmaku while you're there.
Lilly gives a sad sigh at the distinction made between Akira and the two of us.
Don't you really need to go back to Scotland?
Yeah, the folks are already out for my blood as it is. You weren't meant to stay this long. She gives a trademark wide grin.
Setting my boyfriend up with a passport took some time.
You're taking him with you?
Just for a while at first. He seems a surprisingly worldly guy, so I think he'll do just fine.
Akira gives an amused snort.
If our fathers had his way, I'd have gone a long while ago. I just couldn't pass up an excuse to stay with my favorite little sister. A little while longer, though.
She leans right and gives Lilly a tight, playful hug, cheering her up considerably.
It's nice to be with you one last time, though.
For what it's worth, I'm in the same boat.
Thanks, you two. I'll try and come back sometime. Don't worry.
It's a shame that the business keeps you so busy. The place wouldn't run itself, I'm afraid, and I think it's going to be just the same over there. Considering that, I'd better get going. Have fun over there, Akira.
Will do.
With a slight grunt, she lifts herself with her hands and stands up, dusting herself off as she does so. Well, I'd better be off. The plane won't wait for me, after all. She has a certain unusual wistfulness in the tone of her voice, her eyes firmly planted on her sister.
I'll be okay, Akira.
Yeah, I know.
Come now, it isn't that bad. You'll be able to see us again soon.
It's strange you have Lilly reassuring and doubting Akira for once. She really has changed.
Goodbye, Akira.
Bye. No, bye. For a second, the dark-clad figure looks down at both of us, smiling widely. Perhaps more widely than I ever seen her do before. She lets out a long, slightly wavering breath to steady herself before leaving, but eventually slips her hand in her pocket and turns on her heels. And with that, she walks away, one hand held in the air as she goes.
See ya later, you two.
A jazz tune with no beat, melody, or direction to the very end. After a few moments of sitting silently, Lilly and I pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. Turning towards her with a broad smile, I hold out my hand. Shall we be off then? She takes my hand in hers with a gentle nod and a smile as beautiful and warm as ever.
Indeed, we shall. Indeed we shall, Hisao.
As we set off towards the school, that wonderful smile engraves itself onto my memory. That wonderful smile that we both share. Our paths may be scattered at all times, overshadowed by sadness. There's also an irrevocable part of our lives and personalities. Even if I could change a single thing, I wouldn't, because my past was what led me here. That's why, even with all that happening to us before, and all that may well befell us together, we'll keep walking forward. Forwards. Towards the future. Our future. That, my folks, is the end of Katawa Shoujo. Like and favorite if you're enjoying the session. This entire walkthrough, as a matter of fact. Subscribe to become one of my eggshell viewers, and look forward to whatever I make. This is Yasashi Tsu-Kun, signing out. Have a good day, everyone, and stay sharp. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Bye!